Christmas lights blinked like everything was fine. Meanwhile, our living room was holding its breath. My twins sat on the carpet, knees pulled tight, two small shadows in the glow of a cheap plastic tree and two empty stockings that felt louder than the music. A cracked frame watched from the shelf, his dad at 16. I didn't look too long. My daughter wiped her face fast. Like tears were something you could outsmart, my son didn't even fight it, he just stared under the tree. Then looked up at me with those eyes that still believed I could do anything. "Mom, did Santa forget us?" That didn't sound loud, but it landed like a weight. I swallowed hard and put on my best mom voice, the one that sounds steady even when it's not. "Nah, buddy, Santa didn't forget you, he's just busy, lots of stops." I said it like I believed it, like I wasn't one overdue bill away from the lights going out for real. This year had been rough, not movie sad, real life rough. The kind where you keep telling yourself just make it to next week. I worked 2 jobs for most of it, smiling at people who didn't see me, standing on my feet so long my back would start aching before I even clocked in. Then my hours got cut, then the car started acting up, then school expenses hit like surprise punches, and rent didn't care. I tried to keep it normal inside our walls because my kids didn't deserve adult stress. They deserved Christmas songs and cocoa. They deserved stupid traditions, so I made traditions out of whatever I had. Paper snowflakes at the kitchen table, dull scissors, tape that barely stuck. Cinnamon toast that I called Santa's special breakfast. A Christmas playlist on my phone speaker, crackling like it was hanging on by a thread too. And then I came up with what I thought was the smartest idea I'd had all month. A special Santa letter, I told them. We're not mailing it, we're doing magic delivery. They lit up like I'd just performed magic. How? My daughter asked, eyes wide. I grabbed notebook paper, the kind I'd been rationing for homework. I wrote their names at the top in my best official handwriting. "Write what you want," I said, "but Santa likes kind kids, so don't just ask for stuff, tell him how you've been good." My son wrote slow and careful, tongue out the side of his mouth like he was building something important. My daughter drew hearts and little stars, then she wrote in shaky letters, "I just want us to be happy." That one line almost took me out. When they finished, I folded both letters neatly. I told them we'd tuck them under the tree. Santa would know. They believed me. Belief was dangerous in our family because growing up people didn't always stay. I watched them run off, excited and giggling, and I told myself, okay, you've got time, you'll figure it out. You always do. That night after they fell asleep, I sat on the couch staring at the tree. I didn't want much. Just enough to get through the morning without seeing that look on their faces again. I kept waiting for the universe to throw me a lifeline. The heater clicked off. The room went too quiet, and then I noticed it. An envelope. Not in the mailbox, not official, just shoved under my door like somebody wanted to make sure I saw it. I didn't open it right away, my stomach already knew, my hands tightened as I tore it open. Final notice, 2 words. No mercy. I read it once, then again, slower, like maybe the letters would rearrange into something kinder if I stared long enough. My hands started shaking. I pressed the paper to my chest not because it helped, but because I didn't know what else to hold on to. Then I heard soft footsteps. Mom, my daughter stood in the hallway rubbing her eyes, hair messy, small, sleepy. I shoved the notice behind the couch like it was poison. "What's up, baby?" I asked, too bright. She walked closer and studied my face like she could see the truth hiding behind my smile. "You okay?" I nodded fast, too fast. "Yeah, I'm good, just thinking." She pointed toward the tree. "Santa's gonna come, right?" I didn't hesitate, I couldn't. "Yeah," I said, "Santa's coming." She nodded like she accepted it, then padded back to bed, and I sat there staring at the tree like it might answer me. The next morning, I made a plan, not a good plan, just a plan. I dumped the coin jar on the counter, pennies, nickels, a few quarters. I counted twice, hoping the number might change out of sympathy. It didn't. I checked my bank app anyway, like maybe the numbers would feel sorry for me. $11.38. I laughed once, one sharp little laugh like my brain hit the edge and bounced. I looked around for something I could sell. A coat I still needed, jewelry I hadn't worn in forever. I thought about pride, how expensive it is, how useless it feels when your kids are crying, so I grabbed my keys. The car made that ugly little noise when it started. Like it was warning me not to waste gas. I drove to the discount store across town, the one with bright lights and aisles that smell like plastic and last chances. I walked down the toy aisle slow, hands behind my back at first. Because touching things makes them feel real. My son would have loved a little remote control car. My daughter would have loved the doll with the glitter dress. I checked prices like I was doing math I couldn't afford to get wrong. Then I went smaller. Crayons, a puzzle, a stuffed bear that looked a little tired. I put them in my cart anyway. Hope is irrational like that. At the register, I swiped my card. The cashier barely looked up. The screen blinked, declined. I tried again, declined. The beep was loud, like it wanted everybody to know. My cheeks burned. My throat tightened. I could feel the eyes that weren't even there. The cashier finally glanced at me. "You got another card?" she asked, bored. I shook my head. "Sorry," I whispered. I left the cart right there and walked out. Outside, the cold air slapped my face. It didn't feel like winter magic. It felt like reality. I sat in the car with both hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. For a second, I let it hit. The fear, the shame, the anger that I'd done everything right and still ended up here. Then I wiped my face with my sleeve because I had to go home, and I couldn't bring that version of me into the house. I drove back with the radio off. When I walked inside, the twins came running like they'd been waiting at the window. "Did you get it?" my son blurted. My daughter bounced on her toes. "Did you find the stuff? Did you talk to Santa's helper?" My mouth went dry. "I couldn't today," I said. Their faces dropped so fast it hurt. My son blinked hard, like he was trying to keep his eyes from spilling. My daughter's lip trembled. And then she did this thing that almost broke me. She tried to smile anyway, a tiny, shaky smile, like she was trying to protect me from her disappointment. That's when I realized it. They weren't just disappointed. They were trying to take care of me. I crouched down between them, arms open. "Hey," I said softly, "come here." They stepped into me. I breathed them in like oxygen. "Listen," I whispered, "Christmas isn't about presents, it's about us." "Okay," my son nodded against my shoulder. My daughter sniffed and whispered, "But Santa," I cut her off gently. "Santa's coming," I said, like saying it out loud could make it true. They hugged me tighter. Then they ran back to the tree, pretending everything was fine, like kids do. I turned toward the hallway and paused. A knock, then three more, heavy, patient. My heart jumped. I wasn't expecting anybody. And the last thing I needed was drama on Christmas Eve. I walked to the door slowly, hand hovering over the lock. I glanced back at the living room, made sure they were still by the tree. Then a man's voice came through the wood. Low, calm. Almost careful. "I'm sorry," he said. "I think I'm at the wrong house." I didn't answer. Then he added, quieter, like it was meant for just me, "But maybe I'm not." My fingers tightened around the doorknob. And before I could talk myself out of it, I started to open the door. If you've ever had to smile through a hard season so your kids could feel safe, hit like, you're not alone. If you know a parent who's trying to hold it together this season, send them this. The door opened about 2 inches. Cold air slid in first, sharp, clean, bitter. Then the man's silhouette filled the crack. He wasn't tall in a superhero way. He was tall like he'd learned how to take up space without trying. Simple coat, dark gloves, no flashy watch, no shiny shoes, just calm in a way that made me realize I wasn't. "I'm sorry," he said again. His voice was low, steady, not creepy, not pushy, careful. "I think I'm at the wrong house." I didn't swing the door open. I didn't step back. I stayed right there like a human deadbolt. "Yeah," I said, "I think you are." His eyes flicked past me like he was trying to read the room without being obvious. Then he looked back at my face. "My phone died," he said. "My car stalled 2 blocks back." He hesitated, like asking was a last resort. "I just need 60 seconds to warm up, then I'm gone." My first instinct was no. A hard no, the kind you don't explain, but behind me I heard it. A sniffle, then soft footsteps on carpet. I turned my head just enough to see them peeking around the corner. My twins, wide eyes, red cheeks. Still trying to recover from earlier, my daughter whispered, "Mom, who is it?" The man's gaze dropped toward them, not in a nosy way, in a way that looked like it hurt. His shoulders tightened for half a second. Then he forced them down, like he swallowed whatever was rising up. "Hey," he said softly, not stepping forward. "Hi guys." My son didn't speak. He didn't do polite. He went straight for the truth. "Why you here?" The man looked at me like he wanted permission to answer. I gave a small nod. "Barely. I got turned around," he said. "GPS isn't always your friend." My daughter frowned. "Our mom says the GPS is dumb." Something in his face loosened for a flicker. "Your mom's right," he said. "It can be real dumb." I didn't smile, not yet. I opened the door a little wider, just enough for him to step in. But I stayed between him and the living room. He moved carefully, like he didn't want to touch anything, like he didn't deserve to. I locked the door behind him. Click, I wanted him to hear it. He glanced at the lock. Then nodded like he understood. Smart, he murmured. The twins stood a few feet back, half behind the tree, like the tree was a shield. The stranger's eyes swept the room once, not hungry, not greedy, just taking it in. Then his gaze landed on the stockings, empty. His jaw tightened, and for half a second he looked guilty. I could feel time moving, like we'd started a countdown. He shifted his weight like he didn't know what to do with his hands. Then he cleared his throat and tried to sound normal. This is a nice tree, he said. It's a tree, I replied. That got the tiniest twitch at the corner of his mouth, not a laugh, just proof he was human. My daughter, because she's fearless, asked, "Are you Santa's helper?" I froze. The man blinked like the question hit somewhere tender. His eyes softened. "No," he said gently. "No, sweetheart." My son leaned out from behind the tree, squinting like a tiny detective. "Then why you in our house?" he asked. The man's gaze flicked back to me. "I told you," I said, voice low. "1 minute." He nodded. "I'm sorry," he said to the twins. "I'm not trying to scare anyone." He sounded like he meant it. I watched him closely, every movement, every breath. "What's your name?" I asked. He hesitated. "Evan," he said finally, "just Evan," like the last name carried weight. I waited. He didn't offer more. "Okay, Evan," I said, "stand there. Warm up, then you go." He nodded again, then his eyes drifted toward the shelf, toward the cracked frame. I saw it happen, that tiny pause, that tiny freeze. His gaze locked onto the corner of the frame where a faded sticker still clung to the wood. "Hearthstone House?" Evan stared at it 1, maybe 2 seconds too long, then he snapped his gaze away. Fast, too fast. My stomach tightened. I stepped a little closer. "Don't lie to me," I said. "Beat, do you know him?" Evan's throat bobbed. "No," he said quickly, then softer like the truth almost slipped out. "I don't think so." That was worse. Silence filled the room. The heater hummed. The Christmas playlist kept chirping like it had no clue what was happening. My son slid closer to me until his shoulder pressed my hip. A protective little move, like he was ready, 6 years old and brave, to stand between us and anything. Evan noticed. Something flickered across his face. Regret. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to stare." I didn't answer. Then his eyes dropped to the base of the tree, the letters folded neat, Santa letters. He didn't move toward them. He just looked at them like they were glowing. My daughter followed his gaze and smiled, proud again. "That's our magic delivery," she said. Evan's brows pulled together. "Magic delivery," he repeated. My mouth went dry. My son blurted, "We wrote Santa so he can know." Evan looked down like he needed a second, like his chest tightened. Then, barely above a whisper, "Not even meant for us, cinnamon toast," he said. "No marshmallows." My blood went cold. "What did you just say?" I asked. Evan's head lifted fast. "Nothing," he said too quickly, too sharp. My daughter lit up like she didn't hear the danger in it. "We put cinnamon toast out," she said. "For Santa." Evan's eyes flicked to mine, and for the first time the calm cracked, just a hairline fracture. "I didn't," he started, then he stopped himself. I took 1 step forward. "Evan," I said carefully, "who are you?" He opened his mouth. And before he could answer, a knock, not at my door, from the wall, a sharp rap like someone knocking through the thin space between apartments, then a voice in the hallway outside. "Yo, you okay in there?" My neighbor, Tasha. I exhaled through my nose and called back, "We're fine." Tasha didn't accept fine from anybody. Her footsteps came closer, then stopped at my door. "Who's in there?" she asked. "Because I saw a man go in." I shot Evan a look that said, "Don't move." I cracked the door and stepped out just enough to block her view. Tasha stood there in pajama pants and a bonnet, phone in her hand like she was ready to dial 911. Her eyes darted past my shoulder anyway, then they widened. Her mouth fell open. "No way," she breathed. "What?" I hissed. Tasha's thumbs flew over her screen, not filming, searching. Then her phone glowed brighter in the hallway light as she turned it toward me. A news page, a face, his face, the man in my living room beside my kids' empty stockings. The headline read, "Evan Pierce spotted after weeks off the grid." No statement, no security detail. My vision narrowed. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like falling. I looked past Tasha back into my apartment. Evan stood by my door, gloves still on, calm but not relaxed, like someone who'd rehearsed this moment 100 times, and now that it was here he looked caught, like his next breath could ruin everything. If you've ever had your whole life flip in 1 second, hit like, because what happened next I still don't know how to explain. For a second I couldn't move. Tasha's phone was still glowing in my face. That headline might as well have been a siren. Inside my apartment, my kids were humming along to the playlist, oblivious. Still trying to make Christmas happen with whatever scraps we had. And standing in my doorway was a billionaire, not just a rich guy, a name people fight about online, a face you see on billboards and podcasts, Evan Pierce, missing. Off the grid, I lowered my voice. "Don't say that out loud," I whispered. Tasha's eyes were huge. She nodded like she got it. Then she whispered, "You want me to call somebody?" That snapped me back into my body. "No," I said quick. Not harsh, just urgent, because the moment cops show up, this stops being private. This becomes a whole circus. I eased the door mostly shut on Tasha, not all the way, just enough to buy a second. "I got it," I mouthed. Tasha didn't leave. She stayed in the hallway, not leaving, like she'd decided nobody was coming at me alone. I turned back into my living room. Evan was still by the door, hands down at his sides. Like he knew moving too fast would get him thrown out. The twins were watching now, not scared, curious. Kids can feel when grown-ups are lying with their faces. My daughter tilted her head. "Mom, why your face like that?" I forced a smile back on, like snapping a mask into place. "Baby, go sit by the tree," I said. "Mama's just talking." My son squinted at Evan. "Are you famous?" Evan didn't answer right away. He looked at the empty stockings, then the folded letters, then my kids, and his voice came out careful. "Not the kind of famous that matters," he said. It sounded like pain, but I didn't have time to hold it. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so the twins couldn't hear. "You need to leave," I said. Evan met my eyes. "I will," he said. "I told you 60 seconds. That headline says you've been missing," I whispered. "People are looking for you." He nodded once like he already knew. "I'm not trying to drag you into anything," he said. I swear. He was too calm for someone lost, too controlled for someone who just wandered in. And the cinnamon toast thing, that wasn't a guess, that was knowledge. I kept my voice flat. "How do you know about the toast?" Evan's jaw flexed. "I shouldn't," he admitted. My stomach flipped. "You shouldn't," I repeated. "So you do know." He exhaled through his nose like he was trying not to crack. "I know more than I'm allowed to," he said quietly. The way he said it, like it wasn't pride, like it was something he hated. I didn't back up. "Who sent you?" I asked. "No one," he said. "Then why are you here?" I pressed. Evan glanced past me toward the kids, then back to my face. "Because I couldn't stay where I was," he said, "and because when I saw this address," he stopped. Like the rest of that sentence could ruin everything, my heart started pounding. "What address?" I demanded. Evan didn't answer, and that silence was an answer all by itself. Behind us, the twins whispered. My daughter giggled. "Mom's talking like a detective," my son whispered back, dead serious. "I think he's Santa." Evan's eyes flicked to them. His expression shifted like something soft hit him in the ribs. He crouched a little, keeping distance. "I'm not Santa," he said gently, "but you guys deserve a good Christmas." My throat tightened. It wasn't what he said, it was how personal it sounded. I stepped between him and the kids again. "Don't," I warned him. "Don't do the rich guy rescue thing in front of my babies." Evan nodded like he respected the boundary. "I'm not here for that," he said. "Then what are you here for?" I snapped. He looked down at his hands, then up again. "To help," he said. I almost laughed. Help always comes with strings, it always has. "I don't need help," I lied. Evan didn't embarrass me by calling it a lie, he just nodded like he understood pride. "Okay," he said. "Then let me do something small." "No," I said fast. He lifted a hand. "Not money," he said. "Nothing big." He looked around my place, not judging, not acting above it, just noticing the thin blanket on the couch. The tape on the snowflakes, the way the heat barely held. "Food," he said. "I can order food, groceries, something warm." I held his gaze. Silence did the arguing for me. Evan's voice dropped softer. "Your kids deserve more than stress," he said. That hit a nerve. "My kids are loved," I said, sharp, immediate. "I make sure of that." Evan nodded. "I can see that," he said. I hated that my eyes burned anyway. And then the front door rattled, not a polite knock. A hard shake like somebody grabbed the knob. My whole body went stiff. Tasha's voice came through the door, sharp. Yo, somebody else out here, my heart dropped. Evan's head snapped up. Then another voice, deeper and meaner. Open up, the man barked. We need to talk about that rent. My stomach turned to ice. Of course it had to be tonight. My landlord, Mr. Klein, didn't care about holidays. He cared about money, and he had a talent for showing up at the worst times. The twins froze in the living room. My daughter's smile vanished. My son's eyes widened. Mom, he whispered. I moved fast, blocking their view of the door. Go to your room, I said quietly. But my daughter started. Now, I said, still gentle but firm. They hesitated, then ran down the hall. The door shook again. Don't play with me, Mr. Klein shouted. I know you in there. This was the nightmare part, not broke, not tired, just being seen like this, in front of them. I turned to Evan. You need to leave, I whispered. Evan didn't move. His eyes were locked on the door. And something in his expression changed. Not fear, anger, controlled, cold. Is that him? Evan asked. I blinked. What? The man who thinks he can talk to you like that, Evan said, eyes hard. How do you know? I started. Evan's voice stayed low. I've seen the notices, he said. The language, the way it's written to scare you. That landed differently, not surveillance, not creepy, just recognition, like he'd read that kind of threat before. The door shook again. Open up or I'm calling the cops, Mr. Klein shouted. For a lease violation, Tasha snapped back. Back up, sir, it's Christmas. Mr. Klein barked. I don't care what day it is. My hands were shaking. I took one breath, then another. 60 seconds had turned into something else. I opened the door. Mr. Klein stood there in a heavy jacket, face red from cold and anger. Tasha was beside him, arms crossed, ready to throw down if she had to. Mr. Klein started to talk, then his eyes slid past me into my apartment, and he saw Evan. Everything changed on his face at once. First confusion, then recognition, then fear. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Evan stepped into view just enough, not aggressive, not flashy, just present. Mr. Klein swallowed hard. You, he stammered. Evan's voice came out like steel wrapped in velvet. Hello, he said. Do we have a problem? Mr. Klein stared like he'd seen a ghost. Then his voice dropped into something smaller than anger, something like panic. You're not supposed to be back. If you've ever had someone try to shame you in your own home, hit like. Because what happened next changed everything. You're not supposed to be back. Mr. Klein said it like he'd just seen a ghost. Evan didn't flinch, didn't smile, just stood there calm, controlled, like he'd learned how to keep storms behind his eyes. Not here, Evan said. 2 words, soft, final. Mr. Klein's mouth opened like he wanted to argue, then something in him remembered exactly who he was talking to. He nodded too fast. This can wait, he muttered. And just like that, he backed away down the hall, not proud, not powerful, just gone. Tasha lingered for half a second, eyes locked on Evan. If anything weird happens, she warned, voice sharp, I'm calling 911. Evan nodded once. That's fair, he said. Tasha looked at me. You okay? She asked. I didn't know how to answer that, so I did what moms do. I nodded. Tasha stepped backward toward her door, still watching. Then she disappeared inside. The hallway went quiet. Too quiet. I closed my door, locked it. Click. My hands were shaking now, and I didn't bother hiding it. Evan stood where he'd been standing, like he didn't trust himself to move. I stared at him, then said the only thing that mattered. Who are you in my house? Evan's jaw tightened. His eyes flicked down the hall toward my kids' room. Are they okay? He asked softly. That made my anger flare. Don't, I said. Don't dodge me. Evan swallowed. I stepped closer, voice low but solid. I've been broke before. I've been tired before. But I'm not doing secrets in my house. Evan held my gaze, then he did something that didn't match the Billionaire headline at all. He sat down right on the edge of my couch like his legs suddenly couldn't carry him. He stared at his gloved hands like they were strangers. I didn't plan this like a stunt, he said. I don't care, I replied. He nodded like he deserved that, then he exhaled long and shaky. You asked who I am, he said, and why I'm here. Yes, I said, I did. Evan's eyes drifted to the shelf, to the cracked frame. The sticker on it was half peeled, hanging off the corner like it refused to let go. Hearthstone House. Evan looked at it like it was a wound. Do you know what that place is? He asked. I frowned. It's just a sticker, I said. It was on his stuff. Evan swallowed. It wasn't just a place, he said quietly. It was our whole childhood. My heart stuttered. Our? Evan nodded once. I felt the room tilt. You knew him, I said, voice low. Evan's mouth twitched like he was trying not to break. I grew up with him, he admitted. At Hearthstone. My chest tightened. I wanted to reject it, to call it a lie, but the way he looked at that sticker, that wasn't an act. Say his name, I said. Evan lifted his eyes, and I added, colder, because if you say it wrong, I'll know you're lying. Evan didn't blink. Marcus, he said. I froze, because nobody said his name anymore, not out loud like that. Marcus, my twin's father. It felt like somebody had opened a door to a room I'd been avoiding for years. Evan's voice got quieter. He was the only person who ever made that place feel less cold, he said. He'd split his food with me. He'd take blame for stuff I did. I swallowed hard. I hated how much that sounded like Marcus. Evan kept going, like once it started it couldn't stop. I got placed with a family, he said. They took me out of there. His eyes went glossy. I told him I'd come back. Beat, I didn't. My jaw clenched. And you didn't, I said, not loud, just sharp. Evan nodded barely. No, he whispered. I didn't. The air got heavy. My anger came first. So you show up now, I snapped. On Christmas Eve, after years. Evan flinched like the words hit his ribs. I didn't deserve to show up, he said. I know that. Then he reached into his coat pocket slowly. Like he didn't want to spook me, he pulled out something folded. Worn like it had been opened 100 times, a photo. He held it out with 2 fingers like it mattered. I didn't take it at first, then I did. My hands shook as I unfolded it. 2 teenage boys in a cheap backyard, skinny, too young to look that tired. One of them was Marcus, and the other was Evan. They stood shoulder to shoulder, smiling like they had nothing and still found a reason. My throat closed up. Evan's voice was almost nothing. I kept that, he said, because it proved he was real. And it proved I broke my promise. I stared at the photo until the room blurred, then an old memory punched through. Marcus coming home quiet one night, a bruise he wouldn't explain, a story he never finished. I looked up at Evan. How did you find us? I asked. Evan's face tightened. He hesitated. Then he said it fast, like he needed me to hear the difference. It started with paperwork, he said. A foundation case I fund, a note I wasn't supposed to read, and his name was in it. My stomach churned, and then I pressed. Evan swallowed, and then an address. I stared at him. So you came here, I whispered. Evan nodded. I drove around for an hour, he admitted, hoping I'd lose the nerve. He looked up at me, eyes raw. But I didn't. My kids were supposed to be asleep down the hall, safe, unaware, and a billionaire with a past tied to Marcus was sitting on my couch. This wasn't a miracle. This was trouble dressed up real nice. I stood up straighter. You don't get to walk into their lives like a surprise, I said. You don't get to play savior because you feel guilty. Evan's head snapped up. I'm not asking to be their father, he said quickly. That's not, then what are you asking? I demanded. Evan's gaze slid to the tree, to the letters under it, and his voice finally cracked. I'm asking for one night, he said. One night where I can breathe, where I'm not just my biggest mistake. Silence. Then a small voice came from the hallway. Mom, my daughter, half asleep, standing there in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. My heart jumped into my throat. I softened instantly. Baby, you okay? I asked. She nodded, then whispered, I heard voices. Her gaze slid past me to Evan. Evan stood up slowly like he was trying not to startle her. He gave her a gentle smile. Hey, he said. My daughter stared at him for a long second. Then she asked in the simplest voice, Are you the one who's been making Mom cry? My breath caught. Evan's face went pale, because that question was a knife. And before I could answer, no knock, no warning, the front door handle moved. The lock didn't click. It just turned. Evan's head snapped toward the door. My blood went cold, because only 2 people had keys to my apartment. Me and Mr. Klein. No knock, no warning, the lock turned. I didn't move at first. My brain tried to pretend it wasn't happening. Then the door pushed in and stopped, because the deadbolt was still on. Thank God, the handle kept twisting anyway. Like whoever was out there didn't care. Evan stepped in front of me without thinking, not dramatic, just instinct. Behind me, he whispered. I hated that my body listened. My daughter grabbed the hem of my shirt. My son appeared in the hallway, rubbing his eyes, scared and confused. Mom, he whispered. The door shook. Then Mr. Klein's voice, thick with fake authority. Open up, I have a right to enter, lease violation. My stomach dropped. You do not have a right to scare my kids, I snapped. Evan's voice stayed low, controlled. Don't open it, he said. Another voice joined Klein's, calmer, official. Ma'am, police. We got a call about a disturbance, possible unauthorized entry. Of course, my landlord chose Christmas Eve to make me sound like danger in my own home. My hands went cold. I looked back at my kids. My daughter's eyes were huge. My son's little chest was rising fast like he was trying not to cry. I crouched down. Go to the room, I told them. Both of you right now. But my daughter started. Now, I repeated. They backed away, not running, just scared. That lit something in me. Evan murmured, "Let me do the talking. You handle your babies." I didn't like it, but I didn't have a better plan. I cracked the door just enough for my voice to carry. "Deadbolt still locked. I'm here," I said. "There's no disturbance. My landlord is harassing me." Klein cut in fast. "Harassing? She's behind on rent and she's got an unauthorized guest." Evan's voice slid through the crack like ice. "She has a guest," he said, "and I'm leaving when she says I leave." The officer's tone shifted. "Sir, who are you?" A beat, just a small beat, the kind that makes your heart lean forward. Evan's jaw tightened. Then he said it, calm and clear. "My name is Evan Pierce." Silence. Even through the crack I heard it, that tiny intake of breath. "Evan Pierce," the officer repeated like his brain was buffering. Klein's confidence evaporated. "No," Klein muttered. "No, no, no." Evan kept his voice even. "Officer, I'm not here to cause a scene," he said. "I'm here because this family needs privacy. And this landlord has no reason to enter a home on Christmas Eve with children present." The officer cleared his throat. "Sir, we got a call. We have to make sure everyone's okay." I felt Evan glance back at me. I stepped forward. I opened the door another inch, just enough for the officer to see me. "My kids are okay," I said. "But they're scared now because he brought police to our door like I'm a criminal for struggling." The officer's face softened just slightly. He glanced past me. "Ma'am," he said, "can I just see the kids from the doorway?" "Just to make sure," I swallowed. Then I called down the hall, gentle. "Babies, come here for 1 second." Two small faces peeked around the corner. The officer nodded like that was enough. "Thank you," he said. Klein tried again. "She's behind. She's refusing." Evan cut him off. "Do you have paperwork for emergency entry?" he asked. Klein stammered. "It's my property." "That's not an answer," Evan said. The officer turned to Klein. "Sir," he said, firm now, "do you have a legal reason to enter tonight?" Klein's mouth opened, then closed, because the truth was no. Evan exhaled slowly. "Step away from this door," he said. "Tomorrow, during business hours, this gets handled the right way." Klein's voice went small. "You can't tell me." Evan didn't raise his voice, but the air changed anyway. "I can," he said, "and you know I can." Footsteps retreated fast. Like he was running from consequences with shoes on, the officer lingered. "Ma'am," he asked, "do you feel safe tonight?" I looked down the hall, at the little doorway, at the life I'd been holding together with tape and willpower. "I do," I said, "but tomorrow I'm changing the locks. And if he calls that a violation, we'll fight about it in daylight." The officer nodded. "We'll document this," he said, "and if he comes back, you call." I nodded. He left. The hallway finally went still. I shut the door, locked it again, then I leaned my forehead against it for 1 second, just one. Evan stood behind me still, like he didn't want to take up more space than he already had. I turned around. "You just said your name to the police," I whispered. Evan nodded. "I know," he said. "Do you understand what that means?" I asked. His voice went rough. "It means it's over," he said. "My hiding. My running, it's done." I stared at him. "And what about us?" I asked. "My kids, my privacy." Evan didn't argue, didn't charm. He nodded again. "You set the terms," he said. "If you tell me to walk out right now, I will." That wasn't what I expected. I walked to the hallway and called softly, "Babies, come here." My twins peeked out like little animals after thunder. My son rushed to me first. My daughter followed slower, eyes locked on Evan. I crouched down, kissed their foreheads. "You're okay," I whispered. "Nobody's coming in." My daughter didn't stop staring at Evan. Then she asked again, small and serious, "Are you the one who's been making Mom cry?" Evan's face folded for a second, like he didn't know how to be a person in front of kids. He crouched too, careful, respectful distance. "No," he said quietly, "life did. And I'm sorry I showed up heavy." My son blinked. "Are you rich?" he asked. I flinched. Evan didn't. "A little," he said. My son's eyes widened. "Then can you buy my mom a smile?" That question wrecked the room. Evan swallowed hard. "I can try," he whispered, "but not with money." He stood and looked at me. "I'm not handing you cash," he said. I'm not turning your life into a video, but I can fix the parts that are fixable without making you owe me. He pulled out his phone and made one call, short, quiet, no cameras, he said. No posts, have someone call her, not me. Foundation only. He hung up, then he said it simpler, more human. Your back rent gets covered, he told me. Through a grant my foundation already runs, paperwork boundaries. No strings, I kept my voice steady. And the landlord? Evan's eyes hardened. My legal team will stop the harassment, he said, not to ruin him, to stop him. I nodded once, not forgiveness, not trust. Just permission to do the right thing the right way. Then Evan's gaze moved to the tree, to the letters, to the cracked photo. He reached into his coat and pulled out a plain envelope. I found this in that file, he said quietly. It wasn't supposed to be there. He handed it to me like it weighed something. Inside was a copy of Marcus's old intake photo from Hearthstone. Same brave eyes, same stubborn face. And when I flipped it over, there it was, his handwriting. Barely legible, like he'd written it angry or scared, pressing too hard with a cheap pen. If anything ever happens, don't let the kids feel forgotten. My hands started shaking. Evan's voice cracked. He wrote that, he whispered. Before we were even adults. I pressed the paper to my chest, and for the first time all night I let myself cry, not loud, not dramatic, just real. My daughter climbed into my lap, my son leaned into my side. Evan stood near the doorway like he didn't deserve to be close but couldn't make himself leave yet. Then outside, down the street, a car door shut, then another. I peeked through the blinds, a black SUV, then another behind it. Evan's shoulders dropped. My security team found me, he said quietly. They're going to want to take me home. Are you going? I asked. He nodded. I have to, he said. Because if I stay, this becomes a story, and I don't want your kids' faces in it. He crouched one more time. Can I say goodbye? He asked. The twins looked at me. I nodded. My son stepped forward first and held out his hand like a tiny grown man. Evan took it gently. My daughter walked up and after a long second placed a paper snowflake in Evan's palm. It's for breathing, she whispered. Evan's eyes went glossy. Thank you, he said. I'll keep it. He stood and looked at me. I'll come back, he said. My jaw tightened. That's a promise, I warned. Evan nodded, serious. I know, he said. And this time I'm not saying it to feel better. I'm saying it because it's my responsibility. He opened the door, stepped out. For a second I watched him in the hallway surrounded by shadows that looked like security. He didn't look like a billionaire then, he looked like a kid from Hearthstone trying to finally do one thing right. I shut the door, locked it, and went back to my kids. We sat by the tree, we drank cocoa. We listened to that same crackly playlist. And when Christmas morning came, there were no mansion keys, no flashy diamonds, but there was warmth, a calm apartment. A voicemail from a caseworker, first name, last initial, professional, kind, real. And a box in the lobby dropped off quiet like someone wanted to help without being seen. 2 small gifts, simple, thoughtful. My twins' tears turned into laughter so fast it felt like whiplash. My son hugged his little car like it was the greatest thing on earth. My daughter held her doll and whispered, "See, Santa didn't forget." And for the first time all year, my kids didn't feel forgotten. But the price of that miracle showed up fast. By morning, his name was everywhere. And I knew our quiet life was about to get loud. If you know a parent who's trying to hold it together this season, send them this. You never know who needs a reminder that hope still shows up. 2 days later, my phone rang, unknown number. A woman's voice said, "Hi, I'm calling from Evan Pierce's legal team. Beat and from Hearthstone. There's something you need to know about Marcus."